Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run, woo, and take the hassle out of your hustle. Ah, and it is Wednesday, so we're here with one of our favorite contributors, Coach Karen, all the way from Toronto, Canada. She's going to be coming in here to help us get our minds together because, if your mind is not together, you're not going to be able to concentrate on what really matters. So she's going to help us get some focus today. In the meantime, I want to give a shout out to my partner, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. She's on the road streaming for a number of nonprofits, and we just want to say safe travels to her. I'm Terralina from California Cover Ups, and we're the Biz Chicks. So sit back, relax, let's find out what Coach has to say to us today. This is really some valuable information, and people, I want to assure you that people pay well for Coach Karen's services. So you would do well to get a pencil and paper and also to follow her. Hi, Coach. How you doing this morning?
I am great. I'm great. It's good. It's good. We had a lot of rain, so it cooled the place down because it was so hot.
Uh-huh.
But we're good. We're good otherwise. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to dive right in because
Okay.
this is a big month. This is the next 5 months of the year. And I just want you to put some profits in your pocket. So we're going to be talking money all this month. And I'm going to talk a little bit about July and bring you into why I am, talking about money a lot this month. And Terry knows I like to go over the mindset and I like to give all the touchy feely because if you're just hardcore on money, you crash because you're missing the touchy feely part. And if you're only in the touchy feely part, you crash also because you're not bringing in any money. So I like to give a fair share of both. And I really spend a lot of time beginning of the year, a little bit in between the year. I'll talk about money, but I mainly focus on the mindset because that's what brings in the money. But I want to spend some special time just talking about money because it's just a big and important and kind of topic that people they want to talk about it, but they're frightened to talk about it. They want to receive it, but they're frightened to say that they want to get it. So we're gonna just bust through and talk about a whole bunch of things. And I write out my whole month, so we'll be chatting a lot about money. Okay, so
Wow.
the reason I bring it up is because last month we talk and the last 2 weeks chunk we talk about the characteristic of a successful entrepreneur, and the last three is we are talking about basic
Hold
money
on, hold
management.
on, hold on, hold on. We talked about the what? Say that a little slower.
No, I'm going to give you the heading in a minute. This is backtracking. This is
Yes, but could you say it just a little slower?
sorry, guys. When Karen get excited, she do go quickly. I gotta calm myself down.
I'm like, whoa, whoa, what was that we talked about? Okay, go ahead.
So for the last 2 weeks,
Mhm.
last month, we talk about the last three parts of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. And
Okay.
that last three was basic money management, skills and knowledge, and the flexibility of it. And then we talk about passion. And in that blurb, I talk a lot of things about money. And so this month, that's why I'm kind of over where I dive a little further in and
Okay.
just so that if I've left you off and you were listening, you're like, I hope I'm answering the questions today. And never, once we are finished and you come back and you listen for our replayers and you got questions, drop it in because I pop in later today or maybe tomorrow just to see if there was any questions and I do answer them to the best I can. If it's not clear, I will say this is not a clear question and make it clear and I'll answer it because what I don't know,
Okay.
I will tell you I don't know. But if I know it, I'll answer it. Okay? So please always keep that in mind. And thank you for always joining us, whether in person or the replay. Districts got lots of resources. Boy, if you're not using it up, I don't know. We all come in here and give you a lot of stuff that people pay us for, right? So
Mm-hmm.
take it for granted. So today we're talking about, and I say all month we're talking about money, but today we're just talking about understanding how much you need per year. It
Oh,
is important. Just like when I started the top of this year, how much you should have a budget for the year. Again, I am going back there a little bit. How much do you need for the year? You need to know. This is why most people get salary. They say, I make 50,000 a year, 75,000 a year, and that sort of thing. And then once you know how much you need for the year, think about it in gross, but then think about it in net. So if you're making 60,000 a year, you probably only have 40 something net, by the time, depending on your country you're in and what's happening in your specific job situation, how much you're already taking home. If you're in a business situation and your business is bringing in 100,000, 200,000 a year, then you need to know what's your dividend, like how much are you paying you and how much taxes come out of that. That's all is not yours. It's a business you're running. So you need to know those things also. Now, let's pull it back. If you have a business and all you're making is 25 grand a year or even less than that, you need to fix that, first of all. But if that's where you're at right now, you still need to pay some to yourself. And then it's not a bad thing. It really should set fire, if anything, under you so that you know that you could double it in 90 days, then double it again in another 90 days, and understand your trajectory. Understand what you're working towards. It's not the end of the world. You just need to build now your roadmap, because not everybody want to be a millionaire. But I keep telling people, strive to be a millionaire. It ain't hard. It feels hard because you've never done it. But once you become a millionaire, you understand the perks of certain things you don't even buy anymore. This is the other part about making a lot of money. All right. Calm yourself down, Karen. I'll take a sip of water. There we go.
I think this is a great topic. How much do you need per year?
Yep. How much you need per year, yeah. So first question is, do you want to be a self-made millionaire? If this is your desire, even if it was quietly brewing, admit it to nobody, just yourself. Say, I want to be a millionaire. Mm-hmm. And then say it a couple of times and spend this whole month telling yourself that you want to be a millionaire. Just keep saying it. And then write it down, write it out. It should be by your mirror in the washroom, in your office, if you have an office. Put it on your computer so when you open it, you can see it. Put it on your laptop. Put it underneath your laptop. Put it by your night table. Put it in your kitchen. I like to put it by my light switches. So every time I flip the light switch, it's right over the light switch. Light went off, ding. You look up, you see it. There it is again. That's where I like to put it.
Wow. This is informative. Okay. Yeah. The reason why you see me turning my head is because I'm writing on my iPad.
Figure as well.
I'm taking some notes here.
And you want to keep saying it, because I had a party when my dad was pregnant and we had the shower. When it started dwindling off, literally quite a few of the young people came up to me and says, why do you have these signs around? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I was in party moods. I wasn't even thinking about it. I didn't take them down. I forgot everything. And they were so intrigued. And I told them, why these things are important. I learned it in college. I used to keep all my notes up all over the place, and it helps me study versus sitting down. I'll just go, especially when I was studying how the government run, like the prime minister, the president, and how everything really come together. I would just make up this big post, but I'll then section it off into different sections. And as I walk through the house, I'll try to remember who's the prime minister, who's the this, who's the that, and then I'll pull it all together. So I'm allowing my brain for it to become one with me versus me trying to cram it all together. And that's the same thing I find is a really good strategy with money, in terms of pulling it to you and getting by it, so it's not frightening anymore. It's open, it's wide, and you become open, and this money doesn't feel anymore like this stagnant, like something you can't talk about, because it's free and open. And so anyway, 3 little brothers, they approached me, they want to leave it alone. So they're waiting for people to leave the party, and they asked me. And what I tell you, this is year 2. And one of the brothers came to me and he said, that was last year. He's like, kind of want to tell you something. After I saw you did that, I started getting more focused in what I was doing. And I was studying construction. I was going to be a construction worker, but I was like, I want to make some money, I have to be the boss. So he said, my mind just changed. And he stayed in college, in university for extra year so that when he come out, he will be at a higher pay point so he can reach his goal. He goes, that little sign did something in my head. I can't tell you, but it just moved things around. And there's so much
Wow.
other my daughter's little friends who come and just see signs and just like to have conversation with me because I guess they're so happy to tell me what they did
What
after.
worked?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what work, you know. So I get testimonials out of that because people work with me, but sometimes just because of they come and visit me at home and see what I'm doing. And that also could just be clients. I've had clients who just come for alterations and I and them are friends forever now. You know, they've been with me for about 8 years and they also will say to me, Karen, especially if something big happened, I get a phone call and I was like, I just want to tell you X, Y, and Z. You don't understand how it moved me from here to there. Just seeing what you're doing. So
Listen, if you don't say anything else today, that whole light switch thing makes so much sense to me, Karen,
thank
because
you.
it says to me, I I need to give myself permission to receive and conceive that concept in my mind. And the more I see it, the more comfortable I become with it.
Yes.
And the more it gets down in my spirit and I begin to
Mhm.
speak it out.
Yes.
And once I begin to speak it out, we know
Mhm. You're right.
stuff changes.
Yes. It really does.
I get it. I get it.
I'm glad you get it. I am so happy you get it.
And we just need to stop this broadcast right here, put it on YouTube, and call it a happy.
You know, high five, darling. High five.
I'm serious. I'm just like, what? Light switch. The light switch process.
I like that. I'm writing it down.
Mm-hmm. The light switch process.
Ah.
I know. It's just
I tell my sister, I said, that's why I do videos and I talk a lot because when I do, I literally come up with the greatest ideas. So I sit with myself and I talk out loud like this a lot because it just streams in and stream back out. And then I'm like, I like that.
I don't know. Can you hear my gardeners out there?
You know they love us on a Wednesday.
That's why I'm inside today because I've been outside all week. It's also cold for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
it's overcast today. But
Okay.
the main reason is because they love you, Karen.
Oh yeah. Oh, they show up for me on Wednesdays. That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna look at it as.
Yeah. Because words are seeds, so
Mhm.
they're just out here just fertilizing stuff.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Goodness. All right. So moving right along. So just now we talk about what do you want to be, if you want to be a millionaire, you're gonna have to speak it out loud, you're gonna have to concur, you're gonna have to do some work about it. And it's gonna happen because now you know where you're working towards. Then once you decide that, you decide how long it's going to take you. So do you want to be a millionaire in a year or 2 years? And don't freak yourself out. You decide how long you want it to take you. Now, here's the only thing I want to tell you. Do not stretch it out for 5 years, 20 years. There's no need. You're going to get tired. You're not going to see you reaching the goal. And part of you are going to want to give up. So I want you to say a year or two. And I want you to map out any and everything that you need to do to get you to that number, which means you're going to putting down things like if you're a business owner, you're going to put, I want to start there. I'll talk about a worker because I always want to include them because I don't know who's listening who might have a job and have a side gig. And it's like, they only talk about the business peeps. I always like to include those peeps in there. Okay. So if you're if you're a business owner, you need to know how much you need to bring in per month net wise. And so it will tell you how much you need for that year if you're doing the 2-year run. If you're doing the year run, you might feel the pressure and feel hard. If you're a person who work under pressure, you can do it. If you're a person who need a little more elastic in things, you can set for 2 years, even three. So 1 to 3 years is not a bad stretch. But if you can figure out how to do it in two, you're like, I'm celebrating at two. But if you get to three, then that's good. Don't get away to the five. The five is, it's gonna keep stretching you out, right? And then you're gonna lose that excitement and that trying to reach for. Now, if you say to me, Karen, I got to do five because my debt is so huge, I get it. I get it. That's possible. But here's how I encourage you. You need to sit down and see. I want to talk about that just for a minute. You want to sit down and see how much debt you truly have. Not the number you make up in your head, not the number you wish you had. No, the true number. You need to sit down and you need to look at your credit card statement. You need to call up anybody, any family member, anybody you know you borrow money from. You need to call them up and you need to talk to them about the debt and tell them, once you figure it out, how much you're going to pay them back and when. And you need to get this off your table, because once it's off your table, it's off your mind, it's off your shoulders, it's off your body, it's off your heart. And this is so, so important, because once you understand that you're going to pay this debt back, you feel better. Then you get into the table of content. How am I going to do it? How often, and the number of, meaning how much per I'm going to give. So you list all of that. You can do the snowball effect. Ramsey like to talk about it. I'm not a fan of him, but I like the concept of starting from the small all the way to the large, because the small gives you this feeling of celebration, and so that's what that's good for. The avalanche is where you start at the top, the highest one with the highest interest, and you pay it off. But if you're not a motivated person quickly, then you're going to fall off. So you can do the combination. You might want to start with a smaller, and then when you pay off like maybe 2 or 3 debts, even 4, then you can run back up now to the avalanche, where you go back now to the biggest interest. The other thing is, if you have a way of bringing in big money quickly, then you can call up the credit card company with the biggest interest on there, the biggest number, and ask them if they will give you any release. If they haven't given you any release in the year, they might give you a 90 days. And if you could pay off everything in 90 days without interest, then you're golden. Then that big one is gone. It's like off your heart. And now you can go back into the rest. Just a little bit about that. All right. You could talk to a debt counselor. They probably give you way more pointers than I can, but I know a little bit here and there. And then that will allow you to be able to see when you can become the millionaire. No, I'm not talking about retirement yet. I'm not talking about how much money you need. I'm just talking about getting yourself there. Because the truth is, some people retiring as at $1 million is not a lot of money. And some people, it's a lot of money. So you got to know where you are at. But we're talking about that. So that's what we're talking about. All right. If you can accomplish it, what would this do for you? How would you feel? On Monday, the Biz Chicks had a lady on talking about, confident. And when she talked about it, because I had this written already, I smiling to myself, because when you're debt free, when you stop having consumer debt, it's a total different feeling.
It is.
Wakes you up. It does something to your heart, your mind, body, and soul. It just does. You can't imagine it if you're used to it. And here's the thing. If you don't pay attention, and the reason I give all these steps, if you don't pay attention, you get right back there.
Yes.
You do it all over again. I tell people, do not bail people out. If you bail your kids out, you bail people out, they don't learn anything real. They just know that they don't know that they didn't learn anything. Here's the other thing. They're not bad. They just didn't know that they didn't learn anything. So if you have a kid and you paid off $5,000 for them because you want to help them with the interest and you want to be a good mom, you could pay it off. But here would be my thing. You say to them, I'm paying out this $5,000. So the 25% interest you were paying, you won't have to pay it anymore. But you still have to pay me back the $5,000 at a 12% interest. So I'm cutting it in half. So you're still giving them the responsibility. Because we want to give our kids a leg up. So I'm not here to tell you don't do it, but I'm here to say if you're going to do it, find a way so that they still feel a little bit of the burn. The burn is good. The burn is not bad. The burn helps you not to do it, not to repeat it. You got to really feel some burn. If not, you don't understand what it costs you. I tell you, if you give
Yes,
them no burn, they're gonna go back and do it again, like that.
exactly.
Lickety split.
Exactly. They will. Because we've done it. We've all done it.
Hmm.
We've all done it.
Yep.
And I was looking this week at the fact that I am in a position to pay off a major credit card that has just been nagging at me that I've been ignoring. And I'm going to do that because I want that mental space.
Yes, that's the word that does it. Really clear up that space. You really feel so much more empowered to do so much more when it's gone. That's it right there. So,
yeah. Yes, so they debt can take up a lot of mental real estate, and it can be an excuse for why you won't work your business or why
yes.
you won't start that business,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
why you're not expecting more.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a hindrance. It's an excuse. It keeps you in your comfort zone. You know, you start saying things like, well, I'm always in debt, or my credit card don't have any more space, so that's why I couldn't do X, Y, and Z. Or I mean, this business is gonna cost me all that money. I don't have that kind of money. And well, truly, if you had freed it up, it would have helped you.
Mm-hmm.
Make better decisions, make the decision that's going to work for you and your business and your company. Now, I did say that I just spoke about business. So let's talk about somebody who's got a job.
Mm-hmm.
And this is still their goal. And they have a lot of credit card debt. They still have to sit down with the income. I often say, I don't understand people who get a steady paycheck, how they're in more debt lots of times than people who is not certain of their paycheck and how it's going to come about. And as the dependency is knowing that every 2 weeks there's money in the bank. It's that knowledge. And that's why it's so shocking for them also when they lose their jobs, because they're like, so I'm not going to get 2 weeks, because here in Toronto, it takes a month, if you're lucky, sometimes 2 weeks before the unemployment kick in. So you go a month at times without a paycheck, and then the people who hadn't saved anything, the people who have no fallback on, they're scrambling and doing the craziest things. And then they take the worst jobs, or they do the wrong things that set them back 5, 6 times, but they don't realize it at a time. Because I'm not here to tell people don't take what you can get. But when you get to a certain place in your life, you shouldn't take whatever you could get. Because although it seems great and it seems that you're being grateful, what you're doing is opening the crack of the door to a lot of other nonsense that keep happening to you. But you don't notice it. You don't notice it. I had a friend, and I'd first come to Toronto, and I was trying to tell her that, and she thought I didn't know anything. So she said to me, Karen, you don't understand how it works. And I said, I probably don't. But what I do know is if you do this and you stay here, there's no getting up from here unless you make a turn like nobody knows. And she says, what do you mean? I said, and 2 years later, I forgot, tell you the truth, but she brought up the conversation because she said to me, I feel like you put a curse on me. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Whoa.
She goes, I feel like I said, I didn't do anything. I was just looking at reality. That's all it was for me. It's like, I'm not saying don't take this job or don't do this stuff, but you got so comfortable here that it's hard to pick you up and get you back to where you belong and surpass where you belong. It's just hard because you start feeling sorry for yourself. Life is going to throw you some really heavy stones anyway. And now they're there, like they're just crowning you, pushing you down.
Wow.
And so it's hard when and at the time she was an accountant at a bank, when you're an accountant at a bank and maybe some illness take you away from there, but instead of going back, either at a bank or somewhere that is complementary of your education and your skill set, and you downgrade yourself because for somewhere in your brain, or somebody had told you and you feel like you couldn't, you took this as a stepping stone. It sounds great. And everybody says, well, you should be grateful that you get this job. Do not take that job. Do not take that job, because if you do, you start putting
spiraling down.
Yes. Because And you don't want to put anybody down, but the truth is you start mixing with a different mindset people, if you will. And so
Mhm.
just enough is good enough. When you were
Mhm.
in the space where you were dealing with accountants and people in banking, you had to come up to par. You had to keep yourself to a certain place and strive for more. So you keep pushing you, but you don't get it because you see it as release, as relief. You're like, well, I don't have to do that much. But over time, you really don't have to do that much. And you do less and you do less and you do less. And the same with business. When you start relaxing, I used to ask this question as little my auntie Clarice, and I love her to pieces. I say to her, "Why you keep doing what you're doing? Because you're doing this already, right?" She had a snack bar, if you will, and I used to always question her. And her husband was a manager at some place, and then when he came home in the afternoon, he built the most beautiful furniture for his wife. Like everything was just made like so. That's why I love to see fine things because that man would spend hours just sanding and smoothing a nice piece of furniture for her. And they would always have these two things happening. She used to give parties and host excursion. I said to her, like, why do you worry when you come in? She says, Karen, you can't put the eggs in one basket. You never know what can
Mhm.
happen. And that was her thing. She had seven
Mhm.
kids and she never put all the eggs in one basket. So she know, and all the people from this business would come over to this business and vice versa. And the other thing she was really good at was supporting other business owners. In her own small way, she would always encourage people who were in business, or she would go out of her way to support them. Even if she couldn't use it, she'll buy it for somebody else just so
Mm.
that she was supported. Yeah, I loved her. Yeah, this is so.
Well, we are at the top of our half an hour.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, we should have a part two because I think that the golden nuggets that we left right here today are more than enough for us to chew on,
Yes. Yes.
especially that switch method. Ooh, let's just call it the switch method.
The switch method.
The switch method. And then the fact that we need to always be aware that we need to be going up the ladder and not down the ladder.
Exactly. 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 And I just want you to know, people, I understand at times you feel like it. You can feel it, but you don't have to get into it. You don't have to stay there, you
Yeah,
know?
Brenda, Brenda says yes, not all
Hi,
the eggs in
Brenna.
one basket. Yep,
Yes. Yes. And
yep.
she used to rear chickens, by the way.
Well, my mom used to tell me you always need something of your own because you never know when your employer is going to say, I don't need you anymore. You need to have
Exactly.
another way to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we always had a job or a hustle when we were young. I mean, I
Yes.
started working at the corner grocery store when I was 11. And of course, the first time he said, you can have whatever you want in the store for payment because he wasn't giving me cash. And so I came home with all this candy. And my mom said, okay, wait a minute. Let's sit down. Let's sit down and let's have a talk. So we learned early not to put all our eggs in one basket, Britta.
And that's a good thing when you learn it early because it's sorry guys, it's the continuum, once you learn that this is not what you do, this is just not what you do. Some people unfortunately didn't get the opportunity that Terry and I had. And so that's why I'm always reeling back. I'm like, let me make sure that I'm teaching and always having the conversation so people understand that it's okay to start where you are now if you didn't have what you needed to have before.
And start early with your children. My children
Mm-hmm.
started a business at 4 and 6, making hair bobs and selling them to the other little girls in the daycare, uh, so that they would always have that entrepreneurial spirit down in them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh, mhm.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. When I used to be a tutorer, every kid who come to me, everything that I do with them is kind to lead them down. If they're doing math and it was hard, I'm like, here's why you need to know math. If they're doing English, it was
Yeah.
hard. I'm like, how do you explain yourself to people? And this was very encouraging for them because then they're not only thinking about school, they're thinking about their future. And it really helps kids to learn when they know that they're going towards something
And
better.
this is why we love the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the different clubs, because this is where you learn these things in small pieces that
Yes.
come to help you later on.
Exactly.
Coach, I just want to thank you so much. We know
You're
that
welcome.
we can find you on the web at Profits in Daily.
Yes.
So I strongly encourage you to follow Coach Karen, join her private group, and whatever you do, don't forget
to go to the front of your own line.
We'll see you tomorrow for Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. Okay, until then, have a great day and keep smiling.